Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Live from the Heartland. We're in Chicago. I'm Michael James, and it always brings me a lot of pleasure to bring this fellow back. He's been on a number of times. We actually got him up real early. He's over in Japan. It brings me great pleasure to bring on Johnny Burgin, who is up for the award and nominee for the Best Traditional Blues Artist, and also a Delmark recording artist. And he's traveling around the world. Tell us what you're doing over there in Japan.
Good morning from Japan. Well, hello gozaimasu. So I'm having a lot of fun here. I've got about a month-long trip. It's great to see you, Michael, and thanks for having me back. I'll show you something real quick. So here's my tour hats.
Oh, I got to get one of those. Coast to
Chicago
coast.
Blues, coast to coast. Yeah, maybe I'll wear it. Yeah.
Well, I got to
Right.
say, I've been listening to a lot of blues. I go to a fellow every week for a little deep tissue body work, and he's been taking his little iPhone connected to a speaker and on Spotify and going Chicago Blues. And then week after week, we get all these people. Some I've heard, some I haven't heard. But the Chicago Blues are a wonderful thing. And before we get into the details, let me just share that you are going to be performing at the Skokie Theater on October 21st. And that's the Johnny Burgin review with a number of notable people. So why don't we share with the audience when you're coming, it's at the Skokie Theater, and who's playing with you, and then we'll get into some more details.
Great. Well, the Skokie Theater is at Lincoln and Oakton there in downtown Skokie. This is my second year doing it. So the show is sponsored by the Niles Township Food Bank Foundation. And we're very happy to help them out, grateful for their support. So the show is going to be Randy McAllister. He's a Texas blues artist. He made a lot of great records on JSP and other labels, Severn. Rare Chicago appearance for him. Peter Nond is a Danish harp player and singer and songwriter. He was mentored by James Harmon. Mary Lane. Mary Lane is replacing Tail Dragger, who recently passed away. And Mary Lane's 87 years old, and there's very few people who are kind of in her category as far as that era of blues. Pretty much in Chicago, you've got Bob Stroger, Billy Boy Arnold, Buddy Guy, and Mary Lane, and that's it. And anyway, then there's also Mary Martins, Swedish slide guitar queen. So it's kind of a Euro intergenerational blues review.
Johnny Burgin, have you played with these folks before? And how did you put this little group together?
Randy, I did a show with him in South Dakota when I was driving through, and now he's going on a tour. So it's like, come on and do the review. He is such a great singer and songwriter. I'm excited about his music. It's kind of a little out of my, he's a drummer and a harp player and a songwriter, but it's skews on the blues side to Americana, but he's just got this dead-on perspective and this kind of incisive writing style that I really like. And that's how that's some more background on Randy. And Peter, I just did a Blues Explosion review tour. They called it the Blues Explosion, and the audiences liked it so much. And we played these big theaters. That was my first time working with Peter. We hit just about every town in Denmark of any size at all. And we played these like big theaters, and we had a young guy who was a piano player, Chris Copen. And he did a beautiful job. He sings and does a New Orleans style thing. And then we had this great singer, Sara da Silva. So we had a female singer, a piano player. Everybody had a different niche, and Peter did a solo harmonica piece. And then this guy who was in some famous Danish rock band, this fellow's named Nello Morgensen. I could pronounce it right when I was in Denmark, but now I'm probably mangling it. And so he was just famous for being in this rock band. So he did like a Bo Diddley song, but the point is there was a lot of variety and the audience really wins. So I'm doing the same thing, doing it again. And, the individual members can change as it goes along. So that's the Blues Explosion in Denmark. And this is the Johnny Burgin review.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. Let me, you mentioned big theaters. I was looking at your itinerary for October, which is quite a lot of shows. It's a lot of Midwest shows, a lot of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Indiana. You take a trip back to DC, I think. But a lot of those, they're not like in theaters or concert halls. They're in like clubs, bars. And I just wondered if you, what you prefer. I mean, I really used to like going to clubs, whether it was country music or blues music or some rock and roll, but you're at a bar, and as opposed to going to a concert hall. I like concert halls. I've got 2 kids who've been in bands that are in big concert halls, but I do like the intimacy of small clubs. Your take on that and your tour around the Midwest.
I like that too, but sometimes it's nice to step it up and, present things in a bigger way. I lived in Chicago for 28 years and I've done like every tiny little club, like in every Chicago suburb all around. And eventually like it was in Chicago, it was time to move up.
What's your favorite club that you played in Chicago?
Well, what really put me on the map was the Monday nights at Smoke Daddy. That got me going. All of a sudden, I clicked in. That was in the 90s. I had Jimmy Burns on vocals. I had Kenny Smith on drums and Kelly Littleton. Anyway, Kenny recently won a BMA for Best Traditional Blues Drum. So, and he's a great musician. His dad was Willie Smith, who played with Muddy for many years, Muddy Waters. Anyway, that one put me on the map because all of a sudden all these people came out who were, younger people, like people my age. I was in my 20s, and that's how Jimmy Burns got his first record on Delmark. That's how I got my first record. And I love the old Blues on Halstead that's no longer there. That was another intimate thing. And it's all about the intimate atmosphere. I mean, if you play some gigantic barbecue restaurant that has 8 TVs on with every possible sporting event, that is not an intimate blues atmosphere.
That's for sure.
No matter what posters they put on the wall, it is not a blues club.
What's your sense about the blues around the country these days?
Everything's about 20% smaller after COVID, or maybe 15% smaller. But the blues audience is the most loyal audience of any style of music. The only people it's in the category of polka and heavy metal for loyal fans that really care about it. I mean, they're just on the blues channel all day, every day. And so basically I'm just like staying connected to these people, seeing them again, giving them the best show I can. And, there's pockets of talent all over the country. There's lots of good scenes out there. They're just small scenes that are sort of focused by just some really passionate people.
What keeps you going and optimistic and full of energy on the road? I mean, you are a hell of a working musician. You play a lot of clubs day after day. I looked at your tour in Japan. I think you got a bunch of cities there.
Oh yeah,
you're definitely a working man. What keeps you going? And yeah, give me that.
Well, that's kind of like someone asked Lazy Lester, like, how have you had such a long career in music? And he said, don't die. But anyway, I love it. I love the people and I love being on stage. I play a lot with not always the same people all the time. I play with pickup bands like a good bit of the time, or I'm playing with friends that I've known for many years. So it's the camaraderie, the friendship, the community. There's still an excitement for me. I remember when I first got up to play on stage with the Ice Cream Men at Lily's Ice Cream Man was a super traditional blues band, and anyway, that was in the
And
early
Lily's
90s.
on Lincoln?
Yeah, and they sat down to play. Steve Cushing was the drummer from Blues Before Sunrise. I'm sure you might be familiar with that radio show. Anyway, my leg was shaking like up and down, like violently, because I was so nervous, because we were sitting down. And I'm like, if I can just hold this guitar, I can get through this, But then, so it was agonizing, because I was so shy. But then I wanted to do it again. And I just got a real passion for doing it, and I just kept sticking with it and just sort of building it brick by brick by brick and learning brick by brick by brick. And it's been a great ride. I mean, I'd be crazy to stop.
Oh, that's good. All right. So what I want to ask you now is, well, I got two things. Let me ask you first, what kind of I remember giving my own kids advice about what they ate and exercise while they were touring. I'm wondering, I asked Charlie Musselwhite this too, what he eats on the road and what kind of exercise he does on the road. I'm asking you the same thing. Are you aware of that? Do you think about keeping your health together and taking steps to do that? Or is it just like I'm on the road, I'm worn out, I get up for each show, but then I hit the sack, etc. Where are you at on all that?
Well, I used to be a lot more cavalier about it, but last year I went out in May and I didn't get back till November, and then I had a physical. So like the numbers are not what they were supposed to be at all. So anyway, I'm going to be fine, but the point is I have to take that into consideration a little bit more. And walking is really the best for me.
Yeah, walking is a good one. I like
you can always walk anywhere.
These days I do a lot of kind of running in the deep water in the pool. I got a couple shot shoulders, so I just do a lot of moving around in the pool every morning, getting loosened up for the day. And I'm recommending it highly to everybody, particularly if you have a hotel that has a pool.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I actually really like swimming. I just, it's hard to do that sometimes, although I had a nationwide gym membership, and sometimes I was able to jump into the pool and all that. And I just try to, you got to sort of eat what you can when you can. But the food here in Japan is great, man. It's definitely agreeing with me. There's lots of great fish and vegetables, and it's very high in protein, and it's really good. But I just kind of do the best I can with it. That's the problem. All that stuff is based on a consistent routine, but it's hard to maintain that kind of routine. So, but walking is something I could do. I do vocal warm-ups and stuff. Try to, drink a little less beer and a little more hot tea or something,
Right on. Sake, maybe. Let me ask you, Johnny, who's playing over there with you? And what is the response of the Japanese audiences to your music?
Well, a lot of the folks are from the last CD I did, No Border Blues Japan. That's a spotlight on the underground Japanese blues scene. So this has been like a reunion of that. So those are a lot of the people. Here we go.
For the radio audience, he's holding up Japan, No Border Blues, a CD. Mostly Japanese musicians with you on this tour?
Oh, all Japanese musicians. In fact, they're not even with me. There's just, when I was in Nagoya, I played with guys from there. I played with guys from Kyoto Tonight, guys in Tokyo. I played with Lee Kanehiro, who plays with the Cashbox Kings. She was up in Tokyo. She's a piano player, just wonderful. And so many good guitar players, just special guys. And, that's part of the thing too. And it's nice to kind of remain flexible. So, generally I'll get in, if I can take a nap at the hotel, I take a nap. Then we have like an hour or so rehearsal. And then we go out to an izakaya. We have some birus, and then we do the show.
Nice. And how many shows are you doing over there?
19.
19.
We got 5 more.
5 more. Over how many weeks?
3 weeks or something, 3.5, 4 weeks.
You're working hard. You're working hard.
4 weeks, almost 4 weeks.
Then you come home, you go to Skokie and a few other. You're going to be in Morris, Illinois. You got a bunch.
Oh yeah, I'm in Des Moines, Minneapolis, and first I'm playing a party in Skokie, for something called Dwelling Spaces, which is like a relocation service. Anyway, and then I'm playing in Morris, Illinois.
Yeah,
which is
Morris, Illinois on the 14th, Burlington, Wisconsin on the 15th, Beloit on the 16th, Des Moines on the 18th, Minneapolis the 19th, Milwaukee the 20th, and then back to Skokie on the 11th. And that's where we're going to hope to see you.
Right.
While I've got you here, I'm going to do what I like to do. I like to ask, how about sharing with our audience how you came to be? A little bit of history, where you grew up, what influenced you, first instruments, that kind of thing, setbacks, steps forward, whatever you want to share.
Long question. There's definitely been some setbacks, but brick by brick. My mom bought me a Rickenbacker guitar when I was about 15, 16. And then I just got real excited about it. I finally had a place to put all this like nervous, fidgety energy I had. I must have been something 80 some or something. So anyway, I was able to focus on that, and I just kept learning and growing. Came to Chicago, fell into the blues scene, and that was through Tail Dragger. And Tail Dragger recently passed about 3 weeks ago. So I've had a 30-something year relationship with him, and and not just me, all my friends. It's like all my friends, like we've kind of got a hole in our soul right now about Tail Dragger.
Where did you grow up before you got to Chicago?
Mostly in Starkville, Mississippi. And then I finished high school in Greenville, South Carolina.
So you're a Southern guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Both my parents are from Mississippi, and my extended family. And now she's in Gretna, Louisiana now.
Well, we could probably use your vote in Mississippi if you want to go back home and register. But where are you living now, Johnny?
I'm living in Norfolk, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
I'm shopping for a house in Memphis. So fingers crossed.
That's where the Bulls are starting out their training. They're in Memphis today. I think I heard on the news.
Oh.
I don't know why. Well, is there anything else about your past history you want to share with us? Any notable moments? Someone who put you on a certain track, or someone you remember as really nurturing you a little bit?
The two guys who really helped me, one is Tail Dragger, who was a real West Side neighborhood, gritty, in-your-face blues singer. To me, Tail Dragger was like one of the last guys who really came from a rural setting and put that music in the electric blues clubs, like the classic story of the, post-war Chicago blues and all that. He's one of the last people to do that. And I learned so much from him. And then the other was Sam Lay.
Oh, great. Sam Lay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he turned me into a real musician. He had the discipline and the work ethic, and he had the drive, and he had the polish, so those two things, it was kind of a yin yang. They were both great bluesmen. And Sam also, like, he had a real distinctive voice, and he couldn't sing everything, but he taught me how to like pick the right songs to sing for myself. He taught me a lot about how to do things. And I was in his van for like 2 years, coast to coast, and it was my first taste of being on the road. But I had to do it gradually. I couldn't just go out and be Johnny Burgin on the road at that point. I had no idea, what all that took, but I was able to just shut up, play guitar, watch, listen, learn, and just do what he wanted me to do, because he knew what he wanted. He knew enough guitar to show me what to play, and all I had to do was do what he wanted. And
That's good.
every night as good as I could. And he always left the stage drenched with sweat after giving like everything. He put so much into it, you know?
Yeah, I used to, in my early days, I was a big fan of Butterfield Blues Band.
No doubt.
And even before Sam Lay was in the group, I used to go see Paul Butterfield at the Blue Flame at 39th and Drexel in like, 66, 67. And I think he was playing with Howlin' Wolf's old band or some of those guys. But then Sam Lay would show up at the Heartland with Lynn Orman, who you know, who's our music producer, and Corky Siegel and various people. So I got Sam Lay on this show somewhere, whether it's video or recording. I'm going to go looking for it. But he's a wonderful guy, and we will always remember him. I like that's when he does Maggie's Farm.
Really cool. That's definitely on the list of some of top Dylan covers.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them out there. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. We're going to get close to running out of time. Is there anything that I didn't hit you up on that you'd like to share?
Well, I hope that some of you will, I just want you to know about this Johnny Burgin review. It's going to rock. Randy McAllister, such a great artist. Mary Lane, I mean, she is a treasure of this city. In fact, she was recognized by the city of Chicago for Women in Blues. And, I know Lynn's really proud of her and has worked a lot with her. And definitely you want to see Mary Lane. So I'm proud of doing this review. It pulls on these relationships that I've had for a long time. And, just check out what I'm doing as far as where my shows are and tell your friends, because word of mouth is the best way to keep this kind of music going.
Well, we know millions of people are listening to this show, so hopefully there'll be a good turnout. But I'm going to try to. That's Saturday, the 21st, at the Skokie Theater in downtown Skokie.
7924 North Lincoln Avenue. But you were asking me, Michael, if there's anything else I'd like to mention, and I've been doing a lot of teaching. I've been teaching at the Pinetop Perkins Foundation workshop. This will be my third year doing that in June in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where we really focus on teaching kids. And that's been really rewarding. And I've been doing these YouTube videos every Monday talking about some of these great artists who are no longer with us, especially from the guitar side. And I've got all these lessons that no one has ever talked about these particular artists. Everyone talks about Eric Clapton or whatever, which is fine, but I'm going a little more deeper than that. So people like neighborhood blues guys from Chicago who had cool guitar styles, Sammy Lawhorn, Byther Smith, Eddie C. Campbell, Louisiana Red is not from Chicago, but same kind of guy. And all these people who are somewhat overlooked, plus some of the greats. So it's been really rewarding. And I meet people in my shows who are like, hey, I love your videos. I drove 2 hours to see your show. And so it's all about the community and widening the community a little bit and staying connected. I mean, it takes me a year to go around the country, around the world, see my friends, and then do it again.
This is great. So the 21st at the Skokie Theater, I'm going to try and make it. It's great talking to you. I'm glad you got up. I would have called you Sleeping Beauty, but you were up and you were on the Zoom before I was. So thanks so much. And give our love to everyone in Japan. And we're going to see you in the next couple of weeks. And you keep doing good in the world.
Michael, thanks for what you do. Thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate being here.